stand for the pledge. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
It's different over here. Nobody adjusted televisions. It is me here sitting tonight. The mayor called in sick about a half hour ago, so I'm a stunt double for this evening. So welcome to the first meeting of January 2013, public session. We're going to start, as we do with every first meeting, with the employee of the month. And this month it is Mary Ann Wright, custodial worker with the building maintenance department. She was hired on December 14th, 1999. And we have some notes written by the supervisor to the village. Take my glasses off. I would like to recommend Mary Ann Wright for the Employee of the Month Award. Mary Ann shows interest in and dedication to her work, and in addition to her own building maintenance department, where she is responsible for ordering the supplies needed for maintaining the village's many buildings, a willingness to help out others and other village departments, including snow removal, leaf cleanup, and Christmas decorations in the highway department. Mary Ann goes above and beyond to help people in need and lends an ear to extend a helping hand. She is about fairness across the board, true to her convictions, stands up for what she believes is right, and passionate about our CSEA union that she wants all to benefit from. Mary Ann is also well-versed and knowledgeable about international, domestic, state, and local affairs and many topics. For these and many more reasons, I think Mary Ann deserves the Employee of the Month Award. Sincerely, Brendan Pinckney. So, like that. See, okay. I think she's here.
Yep, she's it. She couldn't make it tonight.
Okay. So, as usual, we have a picture, a frame for her, a plaque, and a check for her to go to wherever she likes. Dinner or somewhere. And congratulations to her for that. Okay. And this evening, what we have is the pleasure of issuing the oaths of offices for the officers and chiefs for Southampton Fire Department and Southampton Village Volunteer Ambulance. So if Steve will start rolling in the fire department, we'll get that out of the way.
That way, just need to go to the podium first. Okay. Guys, can you just move down a tad if you don't mind? I'll move this back a little bit more. Okay, and just get you over here. All right. Raise your right hand. Repeat after me. I, Dennis Roy.
I, Dennis Roy.
Do solemnly swear.
Do solemnly swear.
That I will support the Constitution of the United States.
That I will support the Constitution of the United States.
And the Constitution of the State of New York.
And the Constitution of the State of New York.
And that I will faithfully discharge.
And I will faithfully discharge.
The duties of Chief Engineer.
The duties of Chief Engineer.
Of the Southampton Fire
Of
Department.
the Southampton Fire Department.
According to the best of my ability.
According to the best of my ability.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Just need your signature there. Mike? Raise your right hand. Repeat after me. I, Michael Kemp,
I, Michael Kemp,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of New York,
and the Constitution of the State of New York,
and that I will faithfully discharge
that I will faithfully discharge
the duties of First Assistant Chief Engineer,
the duties of First Assistant Chief Engineer,
Southampton Fire Department,
Southampton Fire Department,
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
Congratulations. Okay, and Chris? Raise your right hand. I, Christopher Brenner,
I, Christopher Brenner,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
to support the Constitution of the United States
to support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of New York,
and the Constitution of the State of New York,
and that I will faithfully discharge
and I will faithfully
the
discharge
duties of Second Assistant Chief Engineer
the duties of Second Assistant Chief Engineer
of the Southampton Fire Department
of the Southampton Fire Department,
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Now we get to the fun one. Gentlemen, raise your right hand. Repeat after me. I state your name. Do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of New York, and I will faithfully discharge the duties of officer of the Southampton Fire Department according to the best of my ability. Great, thank you. Guys, last three. Mark, raise your right hand. I, Mark Klinger,
I, Mark Klinger,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of New York,
the Constitution of the State of New
and
York,
I will faithfully discharge
and I will faithfully discharge
the duties of Chief
the duties of Chief
of the Southampton Village Volunteer Ambulance Corps
of the Southampton Village Volunteer Ambulance Corps,
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
Congratulations. Okay. Rich. I, Richard Fowler,
I, Richard Fowler,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of New York,
and the Constitution of the
and that I will
State of New
faithfully
York,
discharge
and I will faithfully discharge
the duties of First Assistant Chief
the duties of First Assistant Chief
of the Southampton Village Volunteer Ambulance Corps
of the Southampton Village Volunteer Ambulance Corps,
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
Congratulations. Okay, Dan? Raise your right hand. I, Daniel Berry,
I, Daniel Berry,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of New York,
and the Constitution of the State of New York,
and I will faithfully discharge
and I will faithfully discharge
the duties of Second Assistant Chief
the duties of Second Assistant
of the
Chief
Southampton Village Volunteer Ambulance Corps
of the Southampton Village Volunteer Ambulance Corps,
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
Congratulations. Great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yep, there was good.
Okay. Well, I just want to congratulate everybody here, on both the ambulance and the fire department. In front of everybody, what you see representing are the finest of our volunteer departments. These are the ones that get out in the middle of the night, as the mayor says millions of times, leaving their dinners and going and leaving sporting events from their children and family. And of course, these are the officers of our finest departments. So these are the ones that have to get out first and take the heat from other people and politicians like us. So we have some faces here, familiar faces that are moving a little further up in the ranks, and we have a couple of new faces that are just entering the ranks. So I congratulate everybody here for the service that you do and for stepping up into the ranks of officers in your respective departments. So congratulations and thank you. Yeah, get some pictures.
You guys want any shots?
Gonna do a pyramid polis.
Polis is kind of small.
Not the whole group, no, just the three towers.
You don't need them to come back?
Nope.
No? Okay. I will just get a picture of the ambulance. Picture of the ambulance. In that picture. Yeah. I'm going to see you guys. See you down. Take some pictures of the ambulance. Who's that?
Brenda, are you sick? How are you doing? Do you have the flu?
Okay.
Careful and don't get the flu now.
Stay away from your mayor.
Brenda,
Cell phones only, tell him.
so good. Good. What? Oh, we did. Okay.
All right, actually, the fire department is off to do service because Mark Paremba passed away. He was a longtime member of Southampton Fire Department. So, Mark Paremba,
Who's young?
yeah, 60-something.
Yeah.
Yeah, so their fire department is now going over there to do a fire medic service for him. Okay,
Very sad.
yeah. Next we have public comment. No one signed up? All right. Huh?
Can I sign up? Sure.
Come on. I thought they all had to sign too. That's what that other one.
Not the group, it's just too much.
Okay. Oh, I'm staying corrected. We did have people who signed up. Okay. First one is sign up Suzanne Ramos from 70 Hampton Road. Please come up, state your name and address for the record in your 3 minutes.
Good evening. My name is Suzanne Ramos. I live at 570 Hampton Road here in the Village. I'd like to read what I think are some very wise comments that were made both in this meeting, by someone in this meeting, and also in the recent Southampton Town Board meeting, in response to the subject of the proposal to change the zoning from low-traffic highway business to high-traffic commercial out on County Road 39 in Tuckahoe in order to build a King Cullen supermarket. There were three main areas of comment that I'd like to highlight as to why the zoning change would be very damaging to Southampton Village. And I paraphrase. The first is traffic. There would be substantially more traffic on roads that can barely manage the density level of traffic today. And the local side roads would experience heavy truck traffic for which they were neither built or designed, not to mention the loss of quality of life to people living on those roads. Second, this person pointed out that this change of zoning would represent a dangerous precedent. In the exact words used, an awful precedent. Why? Because this zoning change would allow owners of neighboring parcels, also zoned low-traffic highway business, to obtain the very same zoning change to high-traffic commercial, and that could bring in the likes of Home Depot, Walmart, Best Buy, and Target, and so on. Or in other words, our very own Route 58 here in Southampton. The third point is that a market like that, not in the village center, would draw business away from our village businesses. As several planners have pointed out, our village needs anchor stores in the village center, which then encourage shoppers to frequent other stores. In the exact words of this person who made these comments, this zoning change would be, quote, devastating to village business. The person who spoke these impassioned words, and I'm sorry he's not here tonight, is Mayor Epley. And I agree with him wholeheartedly. And I hope he's feeling better. And I agree with you, Ms. McGann. You spoke at the December town meeting, and you expressed your concern about traffic density and about the impact on the village because this market would not be in the village business district. So, given those heartfelt comments, I have to think that Mayor Epley and Ms. McGann, that you would also recognize that the very same issues you brought up about the King Cullen proposal apply to the Fresh Market proposal. Just down the road, requesting the same zoning change at Hampton Road and Flying Point Road, and for the very same reasons you articulated. I'm almost done. First, traffic. Is there any intersection in all of the Hamptons that has the congestion that exists at that spot? You can only imagine the accidents that are waiting to happen when tractor trailers and garbage trucks and hundreds more cars are trying to navigate in that bottleneck on those narrow roads. Hampton Road is not a highway, and Flying Point Road is a tiny country road. They get about a dozen cars a day. So it would be beyond treacherous. Second, the dangerous precedent. There are other parcels right there that with just a little paperwork would be eligible for the very same zoning change, special permit or not. So we'd have our own Route 58 right there. Walmart and Home Depot and those stores, they're coming in with slightly smaller versions of the gigantic stores, but they're still big box stores. They're too big, they'd be at the entrance to the village, and they would not be in the village center. And Mayor Epley acknowledged at the September 13th meeting right in this room to Peter Conrad that that zoning change would set that very precedent. And finally, putting a market on Flying Point Road well out of the village center would again draw business away from our village businesses. Flying Point Road is not in the village business district. Again, to use Mayor Epley's words, it would be devastating to village business. Personally, and I'm finished, almost finished, I don't think it's been shown that Southampton even needs another major market. We have Walbaum's, which, by the way, could be improved with some village oversight and a little creativity. I know plans have been presented to you. We have Schmidt's, we have Katina's, we have the Cheese Shop, the Clam Man, and others. There are dozens of farm stands. And then there are several behemoth supermarkets, just a few miles in either direction. So, good governance, good planning, the mayor's own words, your words, it seems to me, must require that this idea be rejected as the very bad idea that it is. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next person to sign up is Carolyn Zink. Come up and introduce yourself, say your name and address.
Yes, thank you. Carolyn Zank, Z-E-N-K, attorney at law, and I live at 121 Ponquag Avenue, Hampton Bays. but I am a former resident of your very beautiful village, and I used to live on Meeting House Lane, and I frequent all the shops here, Francesco's, Golden Pear, and so on and so forth, and I love the village deeply. And for that reason, I'm here tonight. I'm representing some citizens. The first group I'm representing is Concerned Citizens for Preserving and Improving the Southampton Village Business District. We think this is not just a traffic issue. We think this is a very serious business issue for the village of Southampton. And we're really urging you, I have to commend the board on putting money towards the Gibbs study. And I understand that the Gibbs study is going to be studying the retail business downtown centers and trying to make sure they're vital and they're successful. And it seems, and I've watched all the testimony of board members, and I've been very impressed by the dialogue here. I got to give you a lot of credit. I was a former councilwoman in Southampton Town myself from '99 to 2003, and I really was impressed with your comments and your debate. Although, ironically, the arguments that you're making, at the end of the day, I believe are against the zoning change, not for the zoning change that would allow the special permit use in the highway business zone and allow the fresh markets. I have very elaborate comments. I have field checked your entire village. I have read your entire code. I have interviewed all the citizens. I have watched all of you for hours at village board meetings. And I noticed that Steve often reads things into the record, and I had a 12-page letter, but I thought I'd spare you that. But I am asking that you read it in full. And I really wanted to talk to the mayor as well, and he's not here tonight. Your administrator has offered to get me the record, which I don't have yet. He's a very polite man. He's very professional. I enjoyed very much seeing him the other day. He is answering my Freedom of Information request at this time. The two groups I represent, one is the condominium project next to the site, which would obviously be affected, and I know the major arguments have been traffic. But the second group has to do with preserving the downtown business areas. And as a former planner with the group of South Fork for 4 years, and as a former councilwoman watching the same things that you watch every day, and as a general counsel for 10 years, all of the planning documents, all of the good planning always talks about taking your business and putting it in the downtown areas. And they always talk against suburban sprawl. Good planning is always against suburban sprawl. What's interesting about this proposal is it would introduce a special permit into the highway business zone and make for what I'd call a linear village. And ironically, even though people have called really for a full-service supermarket, this isn't a full-service supermarket, the Fresh Meadows, and it would compete with the one that you have. And the one that you have is the Walbaum site, which I visited, and it's interesting to me. I noticed in some of the testimony, Councilwoman, that you talked about there not being enough shelf space there, and maybe it wasn't big enough, but I understand that might be 30,000 square feet, is that right?
No.
How big is that?
19, I think.
Oh, 19,000, okay.
By the manager.
All right, well, I understand this new zone would be 10,000 to 20, so it's in the ballpark. Maybe that site could be expanded. I noticed that in my field check, I noticed it does have some beautiful elements. It has the little cupola on top. It has the brick facade on it. It has some beautiful evergreens on one side, but it's really run down. What's interesting is that is a full-service supermarket, unlike Fresh Meadows. And by taking fresh markets, by focusing on fresh markets, you may end up competing with the supermarket that you have. I think it would make a lot of sense to just say no to this proposed zone change. Say no. Don't even do an impact statement on it. Forget it. It's a bad idea. And I think it was Mr. Hattrick, who was talking about comprehensive planning and being creative, thinking outside the box, if I recall. I love those comments, and I'm inviting you to creativity. It makes sense to get that Gibbs study first to see where you're going. I noticed that the councilwoman, some of her comments said, you know, we may lose this opportunity for all time. We may never have this opportunity again. But what's interesting is the real opportunity before you is to strengthen the downtown areas. You may never have that opportunity again. And when you put this market on the outskirts of the village, you may be competing with the one supermarket you have left, which, as I understand it, your comprehensive plan basically said that it was really important supermarket in that village business zone. In fact, it lamented the fact that you had lost some of the other markets, IGA and all that. So some of the reasoning by the planners has taken me by surprise, because it seems that really the comprehensive plan was talking about, saving the supermarket that you have, which is full service, not a gourmet shop. It's full service. And maybe even bringing back one of the old supermarkets. That seems to be a better focus. So I'm recommending at this time that you would drop this proposal altogether. I really honestly think you can do so much better, and I hope you'll read my letter in full. I really think this is such a beautiful village. It's so beautiful, and I was very impressed with your architectural study showing off the beauty of the facades. What's interesting here is, why shouldn't that Waldbaum site conform to your own architectural study? Why shouldn't that be beautiful? Why shouldn't that parking lot be beautiful? Why shouldn't that be painted anew? You can do that. Tax incentives. Remember the Bridgehampton Commons, Bridgehampton, that thing was ugly. They revamped it. They made it beautiful. You can revamp this full-service supermarket, make it beautiful, and make it consistent with your study. Ironically, the planners have said, gee, this should be in the highway business zone because supermarkets wouldn't be consistent with the village business zone. Hold it. Doesn't make sense. There's reasons planners have supermarkets in village business zones. It's because food's at the center of our lives. It's because, and this is another thing your architectural study said. It
Excuse
said,
me, I'm sorry, I don't mean to cut you off. It is
Yeah.
a very impassioned speech, but you're past the 3 minutes.
I
We do have
understand.
to- okay.
I understand.
And I know this is an important topic. and
I have
as we-
noticed in some of the hearings that you were kind enough to extend that time.
Yes, we are.
Since
I
I
just-
represent probably several hundred,
Yeah, no,
several
no,
dozen
look,
people at least.
It's an important topic, so we are given quite a
Right.
bit of leeway. So
I'm just going to observe that that study that the planner said leads you to this kind of legislation actually does the opposite. That's the Southampton Village Center Zoning and Architectural Design Guidelines. For example, it says at page 8, preserve the unique historic fabric and build new like old. How interesting. Again, that Waldbaum site, revamp it, build new like old. It goes on to recommend you should maximize the walking throughout the village. Page 3, it's really emphasizes the idea that you got to get people out of their cars, get them on their bikes. They should be walking in the village. Why do you want them to walk in the village? Because you want strong business districts in the village. You want people to walk to the village business district, and you want them to spend money. Interestingly, the Fresh Markets proposal is right on the border of the village, like it's on that eastern side, and it's not at the heart of the village. The market you have, Waldbaum says, is at the heart of the village, in the walking area of the village, very important, so that a shopper like myself, because, and I remember someone mentioning, I've talked to 90% of the women in this town. I think that was Mr. Hattrick. I interviewed them. Well, I happen to do a lot of shopping for
An
my own.
exaggeration, by the way.
Well, okay.
90%.
But 90% of the ones I talk to.
Or women. That's it. Okay. Well, I cook for my family, 17, Easter, Thanksgiving, etc. And you need a full-service supermarket to do that. If I was shopping at the Waldbaums, what might I do? Walk over to the downtown district and buy, and that's really what you want. The study states at page 5, residential growth in the village center helps promote walking.
No, you got to wrap it up.
Okay.
I'll give you a little time, but wrap it up.
Okay.
Well into 8 minutes here.
And there is time at the end of the meeting to come
I'm
back up
going
again.
to, thank you, I appreciate that. I'm going to submit my preliminary comments to the record. I'm going to save some of my fire, if you will, for the mayor, because I do want to talk to the mayor. And I hope you'll allow me a supplemental, because I do not have the full impact statement yet. I'm going to also provide the board members with my comments. But I really read this thoroughly, drop this idea, $33,000 to $88,000 to study, to make a study which is going to conclude that the traffic's bad on County Road 39, which we all know. And in a way, you really are spending taxpayer dollars, from what I can gather, really honestly, for the benefit of one property owner, because it appears that this has come not from a comprehensive plan, not from a board initiative, but it's come from a single property owner who wants a fresh market. I can't see justifying $33,000 to $88,000 plus going forward without having the Gibbs study, plus spending another $5,000 that you spent. It's not right. It's really not right. And I have confidence that you can do a great job, and you will do something really worthy of this board. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your comments. Okay, next person to sign up is Peter Conrad.
Good evening. Peter Conrad, 570 Hampton Road, Southampton. And I promise not to take more than the 3 minutes that I'm allowed. You indulged me very nicely last September when I was here, September 13th, 2012. I stand by the comments that I made then that are part of the record, as well as the letter that I submitted and several emails I think that all of the board members should have received thereafter, including one which I want to focus on tonight that was sent in November concerning the what I understand was characterized as an updated or in-depth study to take the analysis beyond where Nelson Pope and Voorhees took it during the initial EAF that was prepared last August. I have not yet seen Carolyn Zenk's comments. I have conferred with her, and I'm sure that what I'm about to say is not going to be at cross purposes with anything that she has said or that she has written. I agree that there is sufficient evidence right now to reach the conclusion that this is a wrong-headed plan and that it should be abandoned. And I think that the original study that was done by the Nelson firm was certainly inadequate and faulty for reasons that I stated earlier. I think it's unfortunate the amount of money that has been spent on that analysis, and I understand that still more money is under consideration for a further study. And while on the one hand, I stand by what I said about the inadequacy of the original study, I think that there is sufficient evidence in the record right now to abandon any further consideration and the expenditure of further funds on an additional study. But I want to stress that, and again, good government has been cited as the basis for Suzanne Ramos's comments to you. And that's where I'm coming from as well with the comment I'm about to make. If there is a decision to go forward with another study, I don't see how you can engage Nelson Pope and Voorhees to conduct that study, whether they are your planners or they are not your planners. Too much money has been spent on their studies already, and I think that it's fair to assume that giving them the task of doing a further in-depth study, which they decided not to do the first time, is going to result in a preordained conclusion. I don't think it's likely. In fact, I think it's next to impossible to reasonably expect that they will now come to a conclusion different from the one that they reached before. But rather, they will have a result-oriented approach, which will be to support the conclusion that they've already reached with additional findings that should have been made before, okay? Now, I think that if they do the in-depth result report, or if an independent firm that does this kind of work conducts the EAF from scratch and analyzes it without the constriction of having already reached a conclusion on an inadequate record, that you stand to have a much more respectable record going forward. I think that that study would conclude, as we have urged, that this plan should be abandoned. But I think that the residents of the village, it's owed to the residents of the village that if additional tax money is going to be spent on a further study, that at least be given to a firm that isn't in the least bit motivated to reach the same conclusion it reached before, to justify that conclusion, and to avoid any embarrassment within that firm. So if the decision is made to conduct a new study, I strongly urge that consideration be given to engaging an independent firm to do it, not the firm that had done it before. I think you're throwing your money away, you're throwing our money away, to put it back in the lap of Nelson Pope and Voorhees and have them do it. And that's where I'm coming from. Thank you.
Thank you. Those are all the people that have signed up to speak. Would anybody in the audience like to make any public comment? Okay. Close the public comment. section. On board presentations, which we have none. Public hearing, which we have none. We do have the communications to the board. Southampton Dragons Rugby, the Downs Family Park.
We have one. We are a semi-professional rugby league team. Dragons co-owner Craig Presley and I are excited to announce that the Southampton Dragons have been accepted to play in the 2013 American National Rugby League competition. We're a community-based team and call Southampton our home. We are currently looking for a park location to host our home matches. In 2013, we will play a total of 4 home games through June to August. We're inquiring into the use of the Downs Family Park on Flying Point Road. We're a professional club, and as this is our first year, we rely on the generosity of the community, town, and sponsors. We also plan to donate money we raise to the village, giving back to the kids and community. We want to work with the community and provide kids with experience and opportunity of rugby. We will do this through providing free rugby clinics for kids throughout the summer. In summary, we are hoping to gain permission from the mayor for the following: use of Downs Park for 2 home games on June 8th and July 13th from 2 to 6. And we will provide for the town and community the following: 2 free rugby clinics for kids ages 5 to 16 in the summer, most likely before games, possibly more if numbers are good. $500 donation to the village per game for use of field and any additional fees for field use. Look forward to your correspondence and Happy New Year. Teddy Grabowski and Craig Presley. The only thing I just want to mention is we just have to check, if you do want to go forward to entertain this, that we just have to check with Tim Rumpf, because we do not have the soccer schedule yet for 2013. And that obviously always takes a precedent.
And this states it's a new organization, so they've never played anywhere in any field in Southampton. So they're looking
That's
basically
correct.
for a
Are they
brand
from
new.
Southampton?
They said they are. They're based in Southampton.
Based.
Mhm.
But are the kids from Southampton? Is
I
the
don't
team from Southampton? I'd like to know that.
Okay.
Did they want to play on the soccer field? Is that
Mhm.
what they want to do?
Yep.
Yeah.
Rugby is a seriously tough game to play, and boy, I'd want more insurance on them than the town has on its police department, which
Right.
is something I'll come to in a little while. But that's I've seen that game played, and an awful lot of people get hurt.
It's an older group, too.
Yeah, that's,
This is an older group?
Yeah,
think
these
so.
aren't high school. This is, I don't think, it's a semi-professional rugby league.
I mean, just the fact that we do have to go to Tim Rumpf first and other people, the conflict alone just would
Right.
answer it right there. But
Right, no, I just wanted to get a
Yeah,
feel
no,
for whether
but-
you wanted to entertain it further or...
I'd really like to know a lot more about that.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'd like to know the age group of these players. I'd like to know where they're coming from.
Mhm.
I'd like to know more.
Okay.
As much information as we possibly can. Their insurance,
Yeah, they would have insurance.
right. But would they have enough? I mean, that's,
Yeah, I'd
okay.
concur.
yeah, I think there's some good concerns there to look into.
All righty. Now, we have a couple of resolutions. Item 1, resolve that the reading of the minutes for the public session of December 13th, 2012 be dispensed with, that those minutes be accepted as filed by the village administrator, and that the actions taken at that meeting be and hereby are ratified and approved. Can I have a motion?
Motion?
Second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
I abstained, I was not there, so I don't know.
That's right, I wasn't at that either.
Now resolved that the claims for the warrants dated January 10th, 2013 totaling $500,049.57, warrant 11 general fund, $9,578.60, and $400 warrants 9 and 15 trust fund, and the village payrolls for the period from December 13th to January 10th, 2013 be ordered and approved. Got the motion? Second?
Second?
Discussion? Page 1, David Aquino, Fire Department volunteer, $1,000. Alley Financial, buyout of the chief's vehicle, $18,847.60. 2 payments to Aldo Andrioli, engineering fees for December and January, both in the amount of $3,250. Page 2, Barco Products, garbage receptacles, $1,748.30. Barnwell House of Tires, tires for the garage, $1,729.98. Cabela's airbeds for the fire department, $1,435.98. Page 4, Cast Productions, going on to page 5, December videotaping, $1,044.75. CC Electronics, light bars and parts for the fire department, $1,940.10, along with $44.97.20. Page 6, Commissioner of Taxation and Finance, MTA tax for the 4th quarter, $88.64.89. Page 7, Everhard Nurseries, shade trees for the Parks Department, $3,720. EMT Government Accounting Services for December, $1,192.50. Evolution Fitness, $7,500. Firematic Supply, a pump for the brush truck, $3,692.18, and Firematic Supply again, a helmet, $7,225. Fundamental Business Services, November court fees, $1,851. G&AM Deej, tank repair, $3,945. Page 9, Hammer Medical, ambulance supplies, $1,204.45. Hampton IT Experts, 2 payments, one for computer service at Village Hall, $1,233. The other one for PD, $1,005. Page 11, Herrick Hardware, going down to page 12. December supplies, $1,380.02. Human Resources, Community Block Grant, $16,298.21. Johnson Electrical Construction, storm damage to traffic lights, $1,378.65. And again, Johnson Electrical, December maintenance for $1,275. Page 14, Donna Kremberg, ambulance volunteer, $1,000. Page 15, LIPA street lighting bills, $7,652.43. Page 16, Massimo, it's a carbon monoxide detector for the ambulance, $4,662. Messiano Consulting, December grant writing, $1,575. Metro Terminals, 3,000 gallons of diesel, $10,764.90. Page 17, Nelson Pope and Voorhees, and November Environmental Services, $4,152.50. Nextel Communications, 2 payments there. The November cell phone bill, $1,722.24, and December, $1,398.34. Norfolk and Sons, December carding, $4,519.80. New York State Insurance, health insurance, $222,057.29, January premium. Peconic Fire Equipment, extinguisher testing and certification, $1,302.90. PERMA, the workman's comp, final payment based on the audit, $19,342. RCF Lewis heating oil for the garage, $1,742.70. RCF on the top of 22, heating oil for 25 Jobs Lane, $1,242.41. Page 23, Southampton Car Wash, $2,159.66 for PD, and again for the fire department, $1,089.72. Southampton Christmas lights for the village, $5,159. Southampton Daycare Center, the other half of the community block grant, $16,298.21. Those 2 payments are a complete wash through as far as we collected from the county and we paid straightly out, dollar for dollar. Sprague, 3,016 gallons of gas, $8,274.70. Suffolk County National Bank, interest on the first responder bond, $2,347.22, and $1,680 for the computer equipment bond. Thomas Strahecki, leaf removal, $5,000. Verizon, on page 25, $3,659.34 for December, and November and December trunk line bills for the police department, $1,013.96 each. Page 26, fire department LoSAP balance, $14,135.70, and page 27, Whitman Associates Fire Department gloves. The trust fund, we have 2 payments. Braun Marketing, the World War I fundraising mailing, $1,586, and Naramatis Consulting for December for $6,000. Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, resolved that the Board of Trustees hereby approves the attached schedule of budget transfers to limit overages for the period December 13th through January 10th, 2013. Have a motion?
Make the motion.
Second? Second. Discussion. First one is 500 into heliport utilities coming out of DPW miscellaneous. Second one is 5,600 into police equipment from police contractual. Third one is 10,000 radio operators overtime and 9,000 radio operators vacation for 19,000 coming out of contingency. Fourth is 600 into parks utility from parks telephone coming out of parks utilities. Next one is 2,000 into parks miscellaneous and parks contractual. And we have 19,338 into workers' comp. 14,136 into fire department LoSAP, with 27,201 coming from state retirement and 6,273 from police and fire department. Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Resolved that the Board of Trustees hereby approves the 2013 Southampton Cultural Center's mission statement, which reads as follows. Consistent with the vision of Southampton Village, the Southampton Cultural Center's mission is to engage our diverse community and to nourish excellence in all creative art forms as a welcoming venue for dynamic programs centered on education, exhibition, and performance. Have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Number 5, resolve that sale of tax liens on all unpaid real property taxes for the fiscal year 2012-2013 will be held at 1 p.m. on Tuesday, March 12, 2013 in the boardroom, Municipal Building, 23 Main Street, Southampton, New York, and a notice to this effect be published in the official paper, Southampton Press. Have a motion?
Make the motion.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And the last one, resolve the Board of Trustees approve the appointment of Patrick Terry as probationary member of the Southampton Hose Company, number 1, effective January 10th, 2013. Do you have a motion?
Make that motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
We have 4 quick discussion points. Just want to I sent out a notice to all the department heads, and they'll be contacting you that the department head reports for the 2012 accomplishments and their goals for 2013 will be presented at the February 10th board meeting, first one in February. All right. Item 2 is all the 2013-2014 budget packages have been distributed to the department heads along with their history to date, their 3-year history to date, and all their analysis. Those are due back to me by February 15th after everybody's reviewed their respective departments. Right. The concession, the ad for Cooper's Beach concession will be in Southampton Press for January 17th and January 24th, with bids returnable by February 15th. Here, they'll be open at 2:30 in the boardroom on that day.
On the 24th?
No, the 15th of February.
15th of February.
The ads will be in the 17th
Okay, so
and the
they'll be opened
24th.
on February 15th.
They'll be in twice.
At 2:30?
2:30 on February 15th. The last item is just due to the Rowan marketing effort, we're up to $171,000 in collections for the restoration of the World War I Memorial.
Is that from the Braun marketing, or is that all?
Part of it. The Braun effort was raised about $42,000.
That's done pretty well.
Right. 171,000.
And our goal again?
Well, the total cost is the bid amount is 282. So if we can get there, that'd be great.
So we got
We're
171 of it
well along the
now.
way.
And that's, the more we get
Yep.
from donations, the less we actually have to tap into.
Right.
Yeah.
And maybe none.
Yeah.
Which was the,
Which is the idea of it all.
the Braun marketing's working very well on it.
Mhm.
And some very
It was
large,
effective
generous
mailing.
donations too. by some
Good
people.
I'm sorry?
donations.
There's some very
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
large, couple of large,
Yep.
generous donations. All right. Let's move on quickly. So you guys always say it's me. The mayor's not here. It's gonna be him.
The evening's not over yet.
You didn't get to speak yet, Rich.
Not done.
The evening's not over yet.
You'll have the flu by tomorrow for
I
sitting in his chair.
know, I just contaminated the building. Well, we go to comments from board members. So we'll start with Trustee Irving.
The comment I'd like to make is that it is very important and actually a very enlightening thing for all of us up here to have the general public come in and make comments about whether or not it's the grocery store or other issues. Comments are very good, and your input is at least by myself, and I'm sure the rest of the board members, very well received. It's great to see so much community effort, and especially when you think about that World War I memorial that has been such a important part of this village at the end of Agawam Park, and how that citizens have stood up and donated funds to its restoration. And I urge all of you to go down there and take a look at it, because I think they've done a great job to date. They got a ways to go, but it really looks so much better. And it is, regardless of what the outcomes come on grocery stores or other things, your input, all the village residents' inputs are really well appreciated, and I thank you for coming to these meetings. Thank you.
Trustee McGann?
I really don't really have anything this evening to add to any of it. I think I too am pleased that you've come and talked to us. I mean, this has been an ongoing study, not just with the supermarket, but also the Southampton Village Business District, because for years we've been extremely concerned about it, because a vibrant business district is a vibrant community. And if we continue to have vacancies and we continue to have no activity within our community, we're concerned that our village business district will die. And we're working on that. And Mr. Gibbs, when he was here the last time, he indicated a lot of things. And he did indicate that not necessarily a supermarket it should be in the downtown area, by the way. I will say that. So, I mean, we will work with him again. There's no question. I'm really interested in seeing what he has to say. It is of great concern to us. We recognize that we have one supermarket, which I say is inadequate. It works for all of us. However, it's missing things every time you go there, and you never know when you're going to get it back. I think the biggest problem is that when we have an influx of people who come during the season, when our roads are really tied up with traffic, a lot of people don't want to get in the car and drive to Bridgehampton or Hampton Bays because they're coming back in traffic. So they're looking for the easiest route that they possibly can within a close proximity to where they live. That's our dilemma. I would love to be able to have Rite Aid turned back into a supermarket, although I have my doubts about that because then all the other businesses in town will be upset that they're taking up all the parking. But when we lost IGA, we really lost something there as well. So we are down to one. We have some little shops here and there, such as Schmidt's, that they do fill in, there's no question. We had so many people when we lost the other two supermarkets between Gristedes and the IGA. When we lost that, we had so many people coming to us, and that's all they kept saying is, we want a supermarket, we want another supermarket, we want another choice. Could you get us Whole Foods? Could you get us somebody? They really were looking for a more organic supermarket. And they keep asking. They keep asking. And so the question is, where do we do this? You can't, it's private, it's the private sector. We don't own that building. We don't own the building that the supermarket is in at Walbaum's. That's privately owned. For us to go in there and say to them, clean up your act, we can say that, and the mayor has done that. But, it's a very difficult position to be in. And, we really are sitting here wanting to do the best for our community, for the whole community. And as much as we're obligated to the village residents, and we are obligated to the village residents, you have a lot of residents throughout this entire town that come into this village and want to come into this village and think of this village as their home too. So we have to take all of that into consideration. I'm not saying this is a done deal, but I think we have a dilemma here. We have a dilemma to work with the community to try and find what's best for them. And I understand your concerns. It's my concern too. I don't want to see that highway built up. I do have concerns about King Cullen and where it is, mainly because it's not just a supermarket. It's more than a supermarket. And it's on the busiest road that is a complete and total bottleneck that they can't get, they'll come out of there, and traffic is like water, it finds its way. They'll come out of there and they'll go through every single one of our little side streets, and I have concerns over that. Because those houses are 30 feet from the road. It's high density there. They're little narrow lots. So we look at all of this and we say, is this good for a community or is it not for a community? And we look at the whole picture here. So we're still working on this. I really appreciate all of your comments. They're important to us, and I thank you for coming.
Thank you. Trustee Hatcher?
A totally different topic. One of our residents in the village, who's a very astute person, came to me a week or so ago with what he thinks is a problem that he would like us to do some thinking about. And Rick, it's a legal problem, and it evolves around the problems that the town police department has had within their own department, and it involves, I think, something like 100 cases of the street crimes unit that are under review, and recently, because one or more of the town police officers were involved in either drug problems or ignoring the drug problems within the force. And he's very concerned, and I'm just going to give it to you in a minute here, that the The district attorney has ordered 2 of the people that were incarcerated, and there are roughly 100 of them, dismissed because of improprieties. And Mr. Spoda said 100 cases involving the street crimes unit are under review. What he was concerned about, and he went to the town and he got a very unsatisfactory answer, and that is that conceivably one of the 2 people who has been disincarcerated by the DA, I think, is suing the town for a $50 million, and another one filed $1 million suit. And he went to the comptroller for the town, and I think their coverage, if this is accurate, is $100 million. Excuse me, $1 million per occurrence with a $2 million aggregate. And he's concerned that you could get a flood of lawsuits for kind of, I guess, maybe illegal convictions, and that God knows what kind of money might be involved if a whole lot of people have done time in jail under circumstances that wouldn't stand up in court. And in asking the town, his concern was this, that the town has its own police department, and of course we have ours, and that we don't feel that we have any liability for what their police department does as long as they're doing it in the town. And yet he did not get a satisfactory answer from the town representatives that he's talked to in this regard. And so, as a matter of fact, he was led to believe that, for instance, if somehow this resulted in $50 million worth of legal awards to these people who may have been improperly incarcerated, that it would just go into the town bill, and here we are, we've got our own police department, and so on. I'd love you. Anyhow, he asked me to ask the board and to ask the village attorney to look at this. I'll give you a copy of this article that was in the Independent here back on December 26th, and it's brief, but I think his concerns are really quite valid, and it seems to me and to him that if their town police department pursuing their duties in the town, that's something we're, in his mind and mine, we're totally divorced from and should not have any liability. He also, there's an article here how the town of East Hampton had a somewhat related problem, and I don't think it worked out the way you'd like it to, but in any event, this particular one, I'd like you to read this over, Rick, and see if you think we should take a position on this, that it's their problem, and if it's going to end up in the town budgets and so on, that villages like ourselves, and there are several of them in the township that provide their own police protection, should not be participating in the expense of that. So anyhow, that's his thoughts. I think it's an interesting idea, and I will give you all a little information on it. Other than that, I hope to have the last leaves off of some of our First Neck Lane by the 1st of spring, which I hope comes by Monday. We're working on it.
Working that area today.
Yeah, they were. So thank you, Steve, for your help in that regard. And that's it. Thank you.
So you were wondering if we had any legal liability if the town should have to pay out? Is that basically what the crux of what this person is concerned about?
Yeah, well, let's say they were to lose $50 million and they've got $2 million worth of insurance, and $40 million goes into the town budget, and we pick up our part of it. You know, we don't pay for police protection in the town, we pay for it in the village, and he was concerned that it will just be lumped in there with their other expenses, and therefore everybody in the whole township will get their share of the cost. And you know, I don't know if we're being legally oversimple, but I understand what he's saying, and I don't think we should share in any liability that they have incurred where we have our own police department. We certainly wouldn't ask them to help us out if we got in a similar situation. So that's, anyhow, I'll give you this, and Rick, maybe you would give that some thought.
I don't know the answer to the question off the top of my head, but it's not something that we have any say over or could do anything about. It's a matter of what the New York State town law provides in terms of what the town is allowed to charge to the town-wide budget, and therefore all the taxpayers of the town, including taxpayers in the village, pay for on the town tax bill, or whether it's a matter that can only be charged under the state town law to the part-town budget, which excludes villages. So it's a legal matter. It's not a matter that I have any expertise in. I can take a look at it if I don't have to spend hours of looking at researching town law, but it's nothing we can do about it.
Well, maybe, you know, it would allow me to answer him. It certainly seems like a legitimate question, and I'd love to be able to tell him, hey, here's what the statewide law is on it, and that's that. But he certainly felt we should not be on the line for this, and yet when he went to see what he thought were their proper officials, he was told that's just the way the mob flops, you know, that,
As you may, you may not.
Anyhow, you understand what I'm saying, and there, hopefully there is just a part of the state law that solves it. Yeah, good. Thank you.
Thanks, Bill. I'll just close out with a few comments. I just, again, in light of the fire department and the ambulance that was here earlier, swearing in their officers, the fire department was on their way to pay the respects to, again, Mark Paremba. Mark Paremba passed away. Actually, what I want to mention is this past week we lost a few members of a fire department. Mark Paremba being one. He was a longtime member of the Southampton Fire Department. Ted Roscoe passed away. He was a very long time. Yes, he was a long-time member of North Sea Fire Department, and involved in the community as well. And Tom Gillespie, which is Gary Gillespie's father, or superintendent of our Department of Public Works. His father passed away, and he was a long-time member of Southampton Fire Department. So, just want to mention them because of their service to the village and the residents through their volunteerism. It's been a tough week for the departments, and they're all running around paying their respects this weekend for these people. Bill, you mentioned a leaf pickup. Thank you for mentioning that. I think all of us to some degree. I have somebody who's mentioned it to me repeatedly, and my response has been that it is clearly an anomaly. Not that I can remember, it's ever been an issue in the village. The end of last year, threw a couple curveballs to our departments, the highway and parks departments. We've always, as far as I'm concerned, prided ourselves on having our streets cleaned and the leaf pickup being done way in advance of our neighboring municipalities. But with the storms that came, sidetracking with the holidays, because it still was important to have decorations and the such done, and then holiday in general, holiday time, derailed a little bit. So on behalf of the departments, I know that they've done what they could, and I thank the public and the residents for being patient, because certainly within the past week since the new year, they've been out in full force, cleaning up, sweeping with the streets. It's been clean. So hopefully this will not happen again, but I think everybody will admit they've been here, they've lived in this village for a while. This is, again, a first-time occurrence. And
Well, I think they spent their time, instead of picking up leaves, they were picking up trees.
yes, from the storm.
From the storm, I mean, it was
So
just such an enormous
Yes.
cleanup from that.
It was enormous. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, it was pretty easy to explain why.
Right.
To make one other little request, we have a problem, and I don't know just how big or how its resolution is going to come about, but in your spare time, if you have any, if you would take a trip out to Flying Point Park and see what has replaced Mount Epley that was there after Hurricane Sandy. We really have an awful lot of stuff out there, and you should just be aware of the amount and volume of things that have ended up there in our parking lot again after the original mountain was removed. I am not exactly sure where we're going to put it, but we can't leave it where it is, and at least if you're aware of the size of the problem, it'll help.
Is it as large as it was the first mountain?
No, it isn't, but that first pile was a winner.
Also in the same vein, I want to, again, thank people for their patience along North Sea Road. There have been some numerous comments and complaints about North Sea Road, the work that's going on there on the curbs. That was part of a grant. That was part of work. That was part of a grant that we had voted on couple years ago to redo. It's part of pedestrian to increase and the safety of the pedestrian traffic on North Sea Road, Windmill Lane, that whole corner, the intersection we agreed was going to be looked at, and some traffic calming patterns that did.
There's drainage going into.
And the drainage, correct, and the drainage. So that started in the fall. Again, everything got sidetracked, so it's a little unsightly. Please, again, thanks for everybody's patience in going around and looking at the orange cones and tape and so forth, but that is being worked on. And you know, the semantics of the granting and all of that has been ironed out. So now it's just weather-wise for these people to get in and complete this. So again, I appreciate everybody's patience on that and bear with us a little longer. And I too want to thank everybody for showing up to comment on the supermarket. It is New Year, and this is now back on the table to discuss. It was discussed quite lengthy last year. Took a little hiatus, but was never off anybody's minds. Now it is back on. Okay, some discussion and some resolution to it will occur. Has to occur very soon. So I appreciate everybody showing up again, and you know, have a moment to continue. And that's what I'm going to segue into, where we are going into our second public comment. And the reason I mention that, as I'm sure you have more to say, I appreciate that you stick to 3 minutes. And the reason I say that is because this will come up again under a public hearing, a more public forum, where you come up and you have quite a bit of data. It seems that you're not going to cover at all in this evening, but there will be another time too. I'm just letting you know that this is back on the table again. We have to discuss it more as a board as to where the study that Mr. Conrad alluded to was that, yes, as a board, we're going to discuss whether to even go ahead with to fund a new study. And that may or may not decide everything right there. So, it's always been on the table, but in light of the Tuckahoe, there's big discussion going on. So there will be more time for you to come back and address all of your topics. So, again, I appreciate you. With that said, please adhere as close as you can to the 3 minutes.
I shall.
Okay? To it completely.
First, thank you for your graciousness in welcoming here. I appreciate it. I just had a few quick comments. One, I hope there won't be an impact study of this proposal. I think it comes from a private property owner, and the genesis, I don't believe, was from this board. That's what all the evidence seems to indicate. And that raises a really serious ethical, political issue that the board has to wrestle with. Many years ago, I bought a home in this town for $70,000. Can't do it now. Worth quite a bit more now. The study that you're proposing is from $33,000 to $83,000 of taxpayer money. I've reviewed the State Environmental Quality Review Act. It makes it very clear. When the genesis of the project is from the property owner, guess who pays for the environmental impact statement? The property owner pays, and I believe that's what's happening up on Tuckahoe. But here, because everything is kind of backwards and the property owner somehow, I don't want to say has gotten to the board, but has convinced the board that the board should take on his cause as their own, the genesis is suddenly coming from government, and $33,000 to $83,000 later, the problem I'm having with that too is when you spend that money, how are you going to justify to the public if you had to say no even? You're kind of cooked a little bit there. I know if as when I was a councilwoman, if I suddenly spent $70,000, the same as the house that I bought, I had to justify that to my constituents. How can I honestly listen to them in an unbiased way when I've already spent that kind of money? The village should not be spending this money. And ironically, again, I'm going to emphasize, on all the comprehensive plans I've ever read across the East End, they never do highway sprawl. So the paradox here is the existing zoning says village business. The existing zoning and comprehensive plan says don't sprawl, don't be linear. And so here you are with $33,000 to $83,000 of taxpayer dollars, basically undermining your own comprehensive plans and possibly going on this crazy tract, not even letting the Gibbs study come in time. I think you got to really look at the ethics of that there, and I don't think that is a lot of money. I don't know about you. Ironically, you could take that $82,000, go down to Wallbaum's, improve the whole damn site. Excuse the French, but $82,000, I could paint it. I could put fences in. I could put some trees in the parking lot. I could probably expand it. I could do a lot with that $83,000. Once you spend that, can really any citizen get up here and know that you can give an unbiased view? I don't think so. You have legal problems. I want to really commend the councilwoman. I saw the minutes from the town board meeting, and I saw you were right in there, fisticuffs as the Irish say. You and the mayor were in there, and I read your commentary, and you were brilliant. and he was brilliant. And you were right, spot on, just like this lovely woman said earlier. You were dead spot on when you basically said, it may wreck the downtown. My God, County Route 39, we can hardly move on that road. We want to protect our businesses. This was passionate on your part. This was right on your part. But the paradox I'm hearing today, and this is where the intentions appear to be good, but the resolutions are terrible. It's like on the exact same road down the block, you're saying a similar thing is good. Ironically, you're saying something. The citizens have called for a full-service supermarket, which is about 30,000, 40,000 square feet, which they would be getting in Tuckahoe on the main road, but you're opposed. You have a very bad legal problem, arbitrary and capricious. As much as I commend you on that position, and I really sincerely do, you're in a bad legal spot because how can you, on the one hand, say, this is a bad idea when it comes to fresh markets, but a very similar idea, it's a good idea when it comes to fresh markets, but a very similar idea is a bad idea. I think that's going to look bad in a court of law. I think the better approach, again, here's the thought. I saw in some newspaper articles, and I was trying to think, put myself in your shoes, Councilwoman, and the mayor's shoes, and I thought, well, maybe they're for the fresh markets because they really hate this King Cullen that's proposed on the main highway. And maybe they're thinking to themselves, this is one press article, I'm not saying this is so, but maybe they're thinking to themselves, if we put fresh markets in, there's no need for this other guy. It'll knock him out. My thinking is, again, when a site is already developed and you can beautify it rather than taking raw land and starting anew and wrecking things, take what you have and make it beautiful. Here's this paradox again. It's like you got this village study, taxpayer dollars again for the village study. And it says make it more historic, make it more beautiful. There you have the kind of a little bit eyesore-ish wall bounds, like a glaring hole in the wall. And why not bring that up? Again, you spent those taxpayer dollars to say, let's make it more historic, let's make it beautiful. Why is suddenly the supermarket site left out of that argument? Why is the supermarket site left out? So I'll bring that to your attention. I'd rather talk to you now than in Article 78 because I'd much rather be on your side. I would much rather be here on the behalf of these groups who are pro-business and pro this village. I'd much rather be here. One, I hope that they would pay me to help you fight that Tuckahoe development, which is terrible. I hope that they would do that. I hope that they would pay me to come and help you get a new study that really addresses the residents' concerns. We want a supermarket. By the way, Yellow Page, a supermarket. IGA, Key Food, Wild by Nature, King Cullen. That is a supermarket, my friends. The use you're talking about, there's 52 uses called grocers in the Yellow Pages. Smith Brothers is one. And I think it was Mr. Hattrick who said something to the effect of, what did you say? Smith's is by a long shot, not a supermarket, right? Well, the irony here is this store, this fresh market, is like a Schmidt market, in my view. It has more, I know, but I've looked at the website, I've downloaded, I have the departments, I've talked to a manager of an actual supermarket, and these are not the same thing. So there's a paradox here, too. The whole legislation is supposedly to answer this cry for supermarket. Then you define supermarkets 10 to 20,000. That's not a supermarket at all, as we all know. My goodness, isn't that Walbaum's a little small at 20,000 square feet? So the paradox is, it says it's a supermarket law. It's misleading to the public. A supermarket law is maybe 30, and by the way, I was a councilwoman when the King Cullen Center went in Hampton Bays. I wanted 25,000 square foot. Councilwoman Zank, don't you know business? Don't you know that 25,000 square foot is not a supermarket, Councilwoman Zank? Well, no, I don't. It has to be at least 30 or 40. So King Cullen in Hampton Bays went up larger than I wanted it to go. So the point is, this is grossly misleading to the public. When you say we're giving you a supermarket law and we're giving you a supermarket, it's well-intentioned maybe, but it's really not the truth. Because as the manager of the Wild by Nature...
I'm going to have to stop you on that.
As the manager...
No, I'm going to have to stop you on that. There will be another time in the public forum
all right,
to
I
go
appreciate that. Really.
Okay.
I'm willing to yield my 3 minutes.
No, but
Carolyn, can I ask her? just
May I
one-
add three points for council's consideration? Because again, it may end up in
No,
Article
there will be
78.
another time to discuss this in a forum, because you have a lot of points there, and you're touching legal stuff, and that'll
I
be
do,
better.
okay.
And this is not the forum to really go into that. Bill, you had a question?
Do you or anybody here know, what is the timetable on the town deciding on the highway, the King Cullen application?
I don't know, but my thinking is maybe the town and the village could get together and maybe establish a real supermarket in the village that's gorgeous and that negates the need for the one on the highway, And P.S., you're supposed to look at cumulative impact. I don't think County Route 39 can legally be looked at in isolation. I think you're going to have a problem with segmented review, cumulative impact in a court of law. And I'd rather tell you now, and I yield to the very kind,
Yes.
extremely kind, extremely patient coordinator of this evening, and
Deputy
chairman.
Mayor. The stunt.
I'm very passionate, but I love this village, and I know you can be much more creative and think out of that box. Think out of that box.
Thank you very much for your impassioned words. Would anybody else like to speak in the second public comment? Okay. With that, we'll close public comments and make a motion to adjourn the public session, go into executive session for the purpose of discussing legal and personnel matters.
Second? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.